Coming up on First Updates now, it's our IRI preview show. We're going to break down the most competitive event of the year, including IRI rule changes, the return of the coveted mentor match, team and alliance predictions, and favorites found only at IRI. Coming in for First Updates now, I'm Tyler Olds. Our producer today is Nick Olson, and we have an amazing panel of our hosts from different First Updates now shows to give you the breakdowns of what's going on with IRI. Let's introduce them. First off, Christine from Let's Draw Robots, recap, and a mentor on 125 The Neutrons. Welcome, Christine.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
And we got PJ Lewalski from Intimidation, a head referee in the Michigan Districts area.
Hey, everybody.
Joining us as well, Audrey McMahon from Any Way You Want It and Team 5254 Hype.
Hello.
And running out, Garrison Hefter from Any Way You Want It as well, also one of our analysts on Funanalysis and a mentor on team number, it's 2468, right, Garrison?
No.
I just love seeing the disgust on your face every time.
I'm so tired of that.
2468, team appreciate. Thanks for making out, everybody. Looking forward to a great show here today. We're going to jump right into it and start out with our first topic. It's going to be IRI rule changes. So some new changes happening with IRI, maybe not as many as what some people were necessarily looking forward to. And one of the things that we're really looking forward to as well is getting PJ's input on this, as he was essentially one of the driving forces behind some of the IRI rule changes. So let's just go through a few of them up here on the screen. So standard changes that we have: 5 pound weight, 5 pound plus weight limit, 4-team elimination, alliances. That's kind of the same as before. No inspection. That's kind of the same as before. And then some other rule changes going on. Changes to G05, G9, G22, and G25. PJ, do you want to walk us through some of these and give us kind of the background and history to it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So what happened was, actually, I was the head ref at Big Bang a couple weeks back, and I put in some rule changes. I talked to the event coordinator at the event, and I wanted to do some changes that were minimal but would cut down on the stupid penalties that we've been seeing all year. And before Big Bang, I got in contact with Chris Fultz, who's one of the chair people of IRI, and I was like, hey, I know you guys haven't published your rule changes yet. Here's what I'm doing. I can let you know how this works. And he was like, yes, great, awesome. So what's really cool about this is actually these rules changes have gone through an iteration. So they're a little bit different than what I did at Big Bang. Same spirit, but it's nice because I was basically able to prototype them for IRI. So they've been fine-tuned, which is I don't know if that's something IRI has ever been able to do before. So there's just 4 changes, nothing major. I know some people wanted like launching from anywhere and all kinds of crazy things, but I was like, that's going to change the entire game. So GO5 is the 16-inch rule. The change, that's the one you can't go 16 inches beyond your frame perimeter. They changed it so momentary minimal excursions, approximately less than 3 seconds at less than 6 inches outside the platform zone during endgame will not result in violations of this rule. This was designed so that at champs more than a few times, teams would get red cards because they would slide out when they were trying to jostle for position for the double climb, and they'd end up getting a red card for it. This is meant to cut down on those. GO9 is a change to the launching rules, where the launching rules for the switches, so you're allowed to launch when any part of a robot's bumpers are contacting the fence, either directly or transitively through a power cube. Once again, this was just a way to cut down on those stupid fouls. Because this helps with autons where, sometimes teams would get jammed up on a cube and then they'd launch and it would be illegal. If they were playing and you're playing on your opponent's switch, you can't see what's going on. So it just gives it a little bit more wiggle room. I know people want to be able to launch from 20 feet away, but that wasn't going to happen. So everybody can cry about it. G22 is a change to the herding rule of the 1 power cubes. A lot of fouls were getting called when teams would, they'd get that 1 cube hung up in the exchange, and then they go to push the second cube through, and they get called for a foul because they were controlling 2 cubes. So this herding rule does not apply to a robot breaking the plane of their own exchange zone. And then finally, my personal favorite rule change, G25, the one that about plates are moved by power cubes, not robots. So basically, the only way you get a violation is if your contact with the scale is if you control or you move the scale in a way that is beneficial to your own alliance, which is either holding it so you're scoring points or holding it in neutral. So And then they added in, we added in if a referee or FGA determines damage is according to the scale, we can disable you. But so that one's a huge one. Like at Big Bang alone, that probably saved 30 foul calls at a much smaller event with much less matches. So that one I'm super happy about. So that's kind of the gist of the rule changes. Like I said, nothing major, just some things to kind of cut down on some of the dumb overcalled fouls. So what do you guys think about the rule changes?
Yeah, personally, I'm really happy about that. It doesn't really change the game. Like, I'm glad to see that we didn't add cubes anywhere because right now it's where you put cubes actually matters. And I feel like putting them more in portals would change portal runs and it would be harder to defend your home switch and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with the 4 that you came up with because I really like the game as is and I can't wait to see where IRI takes it from here.
Yeah, IRI has done a really good job in the past of trying not to change what the metagame and the strategy is. Like basically trying not to discount what robots have done all season and really just try and mitigate like all of the problems that we had. And a lot of them were sort of dumb rules. In the past, it's been like controversial reffing issues. These were just dumb rules, in my opinion, that first had. That they couldn't really change during the season because they would change too much. I think with an elevated enough playing field that we have at IRI, these are really good changes. And the refs there are also top tier. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of confusion. I think these are going to be pretty well taken care of and the teams know what to expect. I don't think any of these are real drastic. They just kind of are common sense and, in my opinion, what they sort of should have been in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's just going to create a lot more consistency, and it'll allow teams to kind of just go out there and not have to worry about, walking on eggshells really with some of those like motions that the robot's making, like, going near the scale and stuff. So I think it'll allow the top tier teams and stuff to really just go out there and play rather than being worried about inconsistent ref calls. So.
Right, and especially when you've got teams training new drivers. A lot of teams don't bring their veteran drivers to IRI, and I know how stressful that can be. You're going into an event where you've got 50 of the best teams in the world, and if you're a new driver, if you haven't played this game, that would be terrifying to have to worry about. Oh man, if I drop out of the zone, a couple inches, I'm getting a red card for my alliance.
So a couple comments in chat, and just want to kind of get do you guys like it or do you not like it? So suggestions from chat that they would have liked to see at IRI. Man 1506 would have liked the removal of the moving forward requirement in order to get the Anton RP. What do you guys feel about that?
If you can't move forward, why are you at IRI? So I don't think that's, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Well, I mean, bad stuff happens sometimes, though, right? Maybe that means you don't deserve it then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The extra risk is, if that's what it takes to get the RP, then fine. If driving forward is too much of a risk, and you can't figure that out, man, it's IRI.
Yeah.
Another comment from that software dude says some CD users were proposing for at least Chessy Champs that ownership of the scale would count as a free line crossing as well, which would also introduce a risk of not owning your scale due to the other lines dropping more than yours, thus introducing a new strategic factor, saying potentially autonomous that teams might go to the other side, or what does that mean?
I don't know, because like if you're scoring on the scale, you've already crossed the line. Like you can't score on the scale unless they mean like then one of your other robots doesn't have to.
Yeah, I think that's what they mean by it. Okay. Like somebody just sits in the corner and stays out of the way.
Yeah. MMM following up with his comment about the not needing to cross the auto line, saying they could allow more collaborative Antons and also dealing for crappy FMS issues. Just in case.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't think of you set the robot in the corner and then like you and your friend can go and score a bunch of cubes because you don't have to worry about getting hung up. So I guess that's something. But
I think
at the same time, like
maybe at like an off-season event that has teams that don't have the capability of moving forward. Like I know Battlecry had something like that where if you own your scale, you've got to bring it. It was something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but something like that.
Sure. Rooster 2655 saying, I'm not sure if the change to Rule Geo9 fully solves the excessive launch penalties. It says something about a cube breaking the plane of the fence and not in contact with it. I think that's one of the big changes between TRI and IRI, right? Is that TRI seemed to go a little further. So PJ, I got to ask you, looking at TRI's rule changes, I don't know if you had a chance to look at those, but those seem to go a bit further than what IRI did.
Give me 1 second because I haven't looked at it.
I don't know if anybody, Garrison, would you be able to comment on that?
Yeah, so I'm fine with both of them. TRI to me felt like they were just trying to get rid of the penalty entirely. And I think it's sort of smart on the part of IRI to not do that because there are robots there that can take advantage of basically what TRI did.
Sure.
In that launching rule. Because there are definitely robots at IRI that wouldn't care. I mean, they can launch from 5-10 feet away, especially on the switches. And so I think IRI kind of played it safe and played it smart, that they're not changing the game too much. And that was really what's important here, is that they did not want to change the game. They just wanted to get rid of the unnecessary penalties.
Yeah. Looking at, just because I just scanned them, and then basically someone in chat, that software dude, said TRI you could launch as long as it wasn't excessive. Anytime there's a rule with quotes around it that is maybe what I am a ref. I referee a lot. I do a lot of matches. I don't like having to make those kinds of decisions of what excessive is. So I guess I could see what whoever it was, Rooster 2655 is saying. I guess I hadn't really thought of that, if we're being completely honest. In all honesty, I mean, I guess, theoretically, wouldn't you be touching the switch in most cases in that situation? Like your bumpers would be touching I'd have to see the robot design where they're not touching the fence when they have the cube or whatever.
So one last thing I want to bring up before we move on is I really like Inkling 6's comment. That's something that I think would be really cool to see. Is for those who are familiar with Vex Robotics, man, I'd love to see a skills challenge. I think they did something like this at Chesney Champs last year, where they just shot excessive amounts of fuel forever, and suggesting that just literally see how high you can stack or how many cubes you can put on the scale. I'd be totally cool with that. Like, you just have one alliance go. Like, you just do one set of this with one alliance going and putting as many power cubes on a scale as possible.
See who can go high enough. I don't know any robots that could go above 4 high. I'd love to see
195.
I was going to say
195.
195 wins that.
The one-time catapult robots become useful at IRI.
Well, except they'll knock the whole thing over.
Punch. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I know a thing or two about Vex, and I have to say I love that idea. I do like skill. I love skills challenge, and I really, really think that would be a real fun thing for IRI to do, like during lunchtime or something.
Well, I think for this game too, it's actually applicable, where it's a skill that's it's not done the same way by every robot, but the skill is basic. I don't know. It just seems like this is the perfect game for it. Like last year, it was really just a speed challenge. Where this year, it's it's maneuverability. It's a lot
drive. It's a driver thing.
Yeah.
2015 was a really great skills challenge. I mean, no alliance interaction.
That was the most positive thing I've ever heard somebody say on air about 2015. There we go.
It was a good skill challenge, and that's all we will say about that.
It was a learning experience.
We're gonna move on to the next topic, but I just want to read a couple more comments, but we'll still move on from them. I feel as if a couple cubes need to be added somewhere, because it seems like certain matches at the end will have nothing to go for by Hess 291, so that could have been similar to 2015. And then another comment by that software dude, something I'd like to see that TRI did was allowing human players to carry cubes between the portals. So there's obviously a lot of rule changes to look forward to, and of course you can always give your feedback to IRI as well too. I'm sure they'd be delighted to have that as well. So make sure, if you feel it should be some way, post in the rule changes, say, hey, this is what I think should be. And then they'll, won't be changed for this year, but things to consider for next year as they kind of open and expand a bit more.